you see what President Obama said today? He asked his supporters to vote for revenge. For revenge.
Don't boo, vote. Vote. Voting's the best revenge.
Instead, I ask the American people to vote for love of country.
And that was the latest RNC ad highlighting the president's, well, final negative arguments out of desperation. Joining me now, Fox News contributor, former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin. Governor, welcome back. Revenge against who, do you think?
I'll tell you, revenge is a very poor tool to build a united and hope-filled nation, and for a president to encourage anyone to exact revenge via their vote is pretty much the antithesis, certainly, of what Mitt Romney is representing and standing for in this election. And that's a great question. Revenge against who? Against what?
You know, it's funny. I've been watching these closing arguments, and beyond the president being very negative and obviously appealing to his base, Governor Romney appealing to independents, I'm watching the president, and there's such a dramatic difference from the guy in 2008. You know, now he's running on Big Bird and bayonets and calling Romney a BSer and Romnesia and all this negativity. It's such a different tone. No wonder the crowds are, you know, in some cases 10, 15, 20 times smaller. But with that said, Governor, the polls are close. Whatever poll you're looking at, whatever swing state we're looking at here, it looks very, very close. How do you interpret them?
I think the polls are close because that corrupt mainstream, lamestream media had so protected and so intimately invested itself in Barack Obama's candidacy and his re-election bid that they weren't for so many years and in this election cycle, these months, allowing the American public to actually hear what Barack Obama was planning to do to our country. We know what the next 4 years would bring if Barack Obama were to be elected. The prologue has been what he just did to us, and the math is what it is. The stats are what they are, with unemployment numbers and downgraded credit ratings and inflation on the horizon, all those things that are so bad for our country. We will get more of the same in the next 4 years, and the corrupt media did not allow the American voter to really see what the contrast was in Romney's campaign until the unfiltered, thankfully, unfiltered forums finally came about, and that was the debates, and that's when things started shifting.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So you seem very confident. So you're probably a little closer, more optimistic than Carl and me, and you're with Newt. You think this is going to be a very good night early for Governor Romney?
I'm very optimistic, but I'm not going to predict this one, Sean, because as you say, everything is just so close. But you know, I do believe that the voters, the viewers, the readers, the listeners are more interested, instead of all this inside baseball thing and the pundits like to talk about the polls, who's up, who's down. They want to hear more about these stories that have been ignored by the corrupt media that certainly have greater repercussions than these polls and who's up, who's down on a daily basis. Those stories have to do with Benghazi and the cover-up. They have to do with the seemingly enthusiastic acceptance of Barack Obama to the foreign sources of campaign contributions that his campaign is accepting. There are a lot of things going on in this campaign season that are being ignored, and that's a shame because people do need to, well, they're going to have to do their own homework and find out for themselves what's going on with some of these corrupt aspects of the Obama administration and campaign.
I think one of the most fascinating things has been these final states that have come into play. Now, if you watch Axelrod, this is desperation. Meanwhile, they're sending Bill Clinton into Pennsylvania tomorrow. I mean, I don't know if it's real, but certainly there's been a tightening in the Midwest and Michigan. You've got Governor Romney up by 1 or tied, and even Minnesota. It's very tight in Wisconsin, very tight in Ohio. I think the most interesting, though, is Pennsylvania and the fact that they have moved so heavily, and the big crowd today showed up for Governor Romney. They're sending Bill Clinton in there for 4 stops tomorrow. But this ad that the RNC has put out, it's okay, you know, to vote for change and make a change. It seems to be very effective. But let me get your thoughts on this.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to play the ad. Hang on one second. Go ahead. No,
Okay.
Rack that up and roll it.
President Obama came to the White House with big plans. He'd halve the deficit, strengthen the economy, lower unemployment. What did we get? National debt over $15 trillion and climbing. Unemployment above 8% for 40 straight months. An ongoing economic crisis with no end in sight. He tried. You tried. It's okay to make a change. The Republican National Committee is responsible for the content of this advertising.
This to me is it. 25 million un- and underemployed, fewer Americans working, 1 in 6 in poverty, 49 million Americans on food stamps, and $6 trillion in debt. It's not any more complicated than that for me. Why is he even close after all the promises to cut the deficit in half, et cetera?
Right, and as I said, there's just going to be more of the same if he were to be reelected. And obviously, the status quo has got to go. America cannot afford 4 more years of this. You know, as these ads are playing, though, in some states that previously perhaps had been written off by conservatives, it speaks to this idea of a campaign never giving up on any state, hanging in there and respecting the vote of every single individual American in every state, not just maybe 8 important swing states, but every individual American exercising their right, their duty, their responsibility to vote for who they want as their leader, and for these campaigns to not give up anywhere across our nation.
All right, Governor, we'll be seeing you, I know, on Tuesday night. As always, good to see you. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.